Okay, I have 11 o'clock Central Time. We will go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here today. We would like to start by thanking the Navy Child and Youth Programs for making today's webinar, Back to School Basics, possible. Thank you for taking our poll. I can see that we have some professionals joining us. Welcome. We are so glad that you're here, and I know that you will find the information and tips we present useful. Please note that our MSEC parent support webinars have been designed with parents as the target audience. Before we introduce ourselves, we wanted to share with you a bit more about MSEC and its mission. The Military Child Education Coalition, MSEC, is a nonprofit organization established more than 26 years ago, and our mission is to support all military connected children by educating, advocating, and collaborating to resolve education challenges associated with the military lifestyle. In 2005, MSEC formalized support and programming for military connected parents so they may be empowered, informed, and proactive in supporting their children's educational journey. We strive to deliver informative and interactive webinars that address academic, social, and emotional issues associated with the military family lifestyle. Our vision is that every military connected child is college, work, and life ready. My name is Emily Barton. I have been with MSEC since 2018 as a parent educator and part of the webinar team. I am also the community coordinator for San Antonio. My husband is active duty Air Force. He's been in for 25 years, and we have two military connected children. Our daughter is 21, and she is going to be a senior this year in college. And our son is 19, and he is going to be a sophomore in college. So they will both be going back to school starting their classes next week. So I'm on a little bit different end of it where I'm not really helping them get ready to go back to school. They're kind of doing it on their own now, which is a nice feeling. But we have some great information to share with you today, and we're glad you're here. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kim.
All right, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kim Armstrong. I'm here with Emily today. We're really excited. This is one of my absolute favorite webinars. We do it every year, and every year I feel like I learn something new that I didn't know the year before. So, as we know, most folks are going back to school this time of the year. Maybe you've already started, or maybe your kids haven't really gone back yet. But all this information is super helpful and great. I currently reside in Fort Benning, Georgia. My husband's active duty. We've been doing this about 20 years. We have two military connected kiddos. I have one daughter in middle school. She's in eighth grade this year. And I have one daughter in high school. She is a junior this year. So I definitely take all the little tips and tricks from these webinars and use them with our family quite often. I grew up in Ohio. I went to Kent State University and I have a bachelor's degree in special education. I've been with MSEC since 2017 and I currently get to be on the webinar team, so it's a lot of fun. Okay, so a few administrative announcements before we jump in. At the end of the webinar, we will invite you to take a survey about today's presentation. We appreciate the couple minutes you take to fill out the survey and give us your feedback. This is a key method that we use to tell our funders kind of what we're doing and how things are working. And we use this to offer you the best training possibilities for you as we can for you guys, our military connected parents. You're also going to see a chat box. I've been typing in that just a little bit. This is where we'll ask some questions in there today. We love to hear responses. So if you're on a phone, you can just open it up, hit where it says chat, so you can see what we're sharing with you. We also will use that to share some resources. So if you are on a phone, sometimes those are hard to download. Just let us know. You can private message us or just say, hey, I didn't get it. And we can email that to you as well. We have a couple PDFs we're going to share today that have all the resources, links, and things that we're going to talk about so that you can have that. Also, this webinar is being recorded as usual, and you can always view the recording later if you want to review the material, or perhaps you experience any technical difficulties during the presentation. So again, with that, we'll jump in and we're going to quickly kind of go over our learning objectives for today. First, we're going to identify the three areas of communication. Then we're going to discuss the importance of routines and parental involvement in schools. And then we're going to collaborate and share practical ideas on homework and organization. So again, we are going to utilize the chat box, and we love getting responses from parents, and we often use your information in our next webinar. So hopefully you guys have some great ideas to share today as well. But before we continue, we're going to have another poll here we're going to put up on the screen. And this one is just to kind of get an idea of kind of where our audience is today. So how many of you have children starting at a new school year this year? Maybe you PCSed, right? Permanent change of states, and y'all just recently moved, or maybe your child is going from elementary school to middle school, or possibly middle school to high school, and this is just a new year for you. I know for me, we are definitely doing new school. We just PCSed from Pennsylvania down here to Georgia. So both of my girls, brand new school, right? Brand new district. It was a big day last week for them to start a new school. And I guess I would click where it says PCS because we just moved here. So go ahead and take that poll, and we'll give you guys just a second to fill that in. And as you do, we just want to share that military families move frequently. The average military child changes schools between 6 to 9 times before they graduate high school. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's a staggering statistic. And every child has the power to succeed in school with support from the adults in their lives, teachers, and most importantly, their parents. Research does suggest that parental involvement is vital to a student's academic success and well-being. And parental involvement is especially important for military families who move often, right? So therefore, it's important for us as parents to be in the know about school. We want to find out what's happening at school. We want to understand that school website and portal. We want to stay informed on the school's news. We also want to establish relationships with the staff, maybe the front office lady, the people that take the lunch money. You want to know who the counselors are. You want to know their phone numbers and their emails. You want to know your teachers' kids' names. Maybe your kids are in elementary school and they have maybe just one or two teachers, but as they get older, they have quite a few teachers. So it's kind of important to know, who does what. And we're in that learning phase. I still don't know because my girls are older. They each have like 6 teachers, right? So they come home with stories, and I'm always asking, who was that? What was the name of that person again? And so this is like the point of the year where I try to memorize everybody's names and what they teach. It's also important to develop a positive attitude to learning in schools. This really helps our children to build confidence in themselves as learners and to communicate to your child that education is a top priority in your family. A meta-analysis into parental involvement and academic achievement found that the strongest associations are found when the families have high academic expectations for their children. They help develop good reading habits and develop and maintain communication with their children about their school activities. So again, it's kind of like what you make it. If it's important to you, it's going to be important to your kiddos. Thanks for taking that poll. If you want to exit out and you could see the screen better, that would probably be good. So, okay, our first little activity here is I want you to think and take a few moments to think about what worries do you have regarding this school year for your kiddos. And maybe you're a teacher, right? That's okay. Share. Maybe what are some worries for your new students this year? And then I also want you to think of what wishes do you have for your child. So I'm going to give you just a second. I want you to kind of think, and we would love to hear your thoughts in the chat box. This is nothing personal. You don't need to give out any personal information, but just saying, hey, I'm kind of worried about, academics, or maybe I'm worried about my kiddos making friends. So go ahead and write a couple in the chat. I know for us personally, again, we just moved. So I have a middle schooler, which we all know is tough times, right? She's in 8th grade. And a worry for me is to find her people. She really didn't find people last year. Last place we were at was a 1-year move. So that was kind of tough for her she found neighborhood people, but not so many school friends. So that I think that's a worry for me for sure. And then a worry for my older daughter. She has a lot of AP classes this year, and I'm a little nervous that the workload is going to be rough. I've told her many times, "Are you sure these you want to take all these? Are you sure this is okay for you?" And she keeps reassuring me that she's okay. But that's definitely a worry as a mom, right? For both my kids. And then the wishes, I wish they are happy, they make friends, they do well, they learn something, they make connections with people. So go ahead and throw some ideas there in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. And Emily, do you have any you want to share?
I do. I think for our older kids, those high schoolers, and even if you have college students like me, the workload is intense. It's heavy and it goes quickly. Especially those AP classes, Kim, that your daughter is taking,
Mm,
they're essentially the college level classes. And so the material is substantial and the teacher moves through it quickly. And so I think oh, maybe a worry and a wish is that they
yeah.
are able to quickly retain that information, form study groups, and understand all of the material. I think that is quite common with these more challenging classes. And ask questions whenever they run into issues. Even for our college kids, meet with those professors. It is really important for them to know your students and for your students to feel comfortable going to the professors or the teachers and asking questions when they don't understand.
Yeah, that's a great one. Advocating for yourself is pretty important, and that's a skill they have to learn at a young age, right?
It
You can't
is.
be scared to talk to an adult your whole life. Let's see. We have a response to some families that I work with are worried that their child will be bullied on social media.
Yes.
Yeah, that is not that person's not alone, right? A lot of folks in schools, that is a huge worry. Social media is a big one. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anyone else want to share a worry or a wish? All right, I will pass it to Emily.
Okay. So, we are going to start by talking about really a very vital part to success in school and with when you move into a new school year. And this is three-way communication. So you can see on your screen a triangle of sorts. When we talk about three-way communication, we're talking about communication between the parent and the student, communication between the parent and the teacher, and then communication between the student and the teacher. And each of these is critically important. We are going to start by talking about the parent-student communication. How many of you ask your children, "What did you do in school today?" and in return get the standard "nothing" response? Sometimes it can be very hard to get our kids to talk. I know there were many times when my children responded that way, and we really want information as parents, but it's hard to get that from our children. Therefore, we really want to ask open ended questions of our children as well as specific questions. When we ask, "How was your day?" we will always get a fine. But when we ask an open ended question like, "What was the best part of your day?" and then follow it up with why, or "Tell me more about what happened in science," we will generate more conversation. One idea is for parents to stay up to date with the school or class webpage, the parent portal, the newsletter, or teacher email updates. These will help you develop thoughtful, specific questions. You know what is going on in the classroom when you're keeping up with all of these, and you're able to tailor questions to your student based on the school information. It can also be easier to talk with your children during an activity, especially with our older kids and teens. So while we're doing an activity, this could be taking place while we're driving in the car or preparing dinner together, when we're folding laundry or taking a walk, walking the dog. This is called shoulder to shoulder communication, where the focus is not solely on the child and their responses. You aren't looking directly at them. Instead, you're near them, taking care of something else and having that conversation. If your child is reluctant to talk to you, when they get home from school, consider giving them a break for a little while. They really might need some downtime, time to relax and have a snack and wind down. It's also important to have regular conversations as part of your family routine. This sets that foundation for good communication. Every day, ask your children questions about things that interest them outside of school. Other topics of discussion could be a current news item, something that's going on in your life, upcoming family plans that you want to talk about together, or even the family pet. I know that we at our in our family have lots of conversations about our cat. So that is a common theme. We also want to practice active listening and actually listen to our children's answers. There are a lot of distractions with our phone, with our computer. Children know when we tune them out. So take the moment not just to engage in active conversation, but in active listening. When our children talk to us, we need to stop what we're doing and pay attention. Face the child, look at them, and repeat parts of what they say and ask questions. This lets them know that we are actively listening and understanding. Being a good communicator is essential in all future relationships and life scenarios. Practicing now will set our children up for success in the future. So now we'll move on to communication between a student and a teacher. Including teachers in communication is a very important part of a student's success. A common worry that we hear from military families is that they're concerned that their child will have a poor experience with their teacher. We're going to share some information now about what military kids wish their teachers knew. We just dropped a link in your chat box to the MSEC Military Kids Now Education Survey. We encourage you to open this up. You're also welcome to use the QR code that's there on your screen. And once you have this document up, you can scroll through it. And we'd like for you to go to pages 7, 8, and 9. So, just a little bit of background information about this survey. The MSEC Military Kids Now 2020 Education Survey was distributed over a period of 4 months, and it contained 80 closed and open ended items. We received over 5,100 responses from military connected students, parents, veterans, and professionals who work with military connected children. So, down on pages 7, 8, and 9, you'll see military children's responses to the prompt, I wish my school or teachers understood. So, some of those you can see on your screen right now on this slide. Um, Children wished that their teachers understood that every school is different requirements, different schedules, different resources. Military connected children also wish that their teachers understood what it's really like to be a military kid. They wanted teachers to know that moving is hard on them. Moving into a new school is hard, and they just want to fit in and be accepted. Our military kids just want their teachers to know these things. So, we really want to encourage that communication between our military connected children and their teachers. We want to help our children learn to self advocate. It is essential that they learn to speak up, ask questions, and address any concerns or needs that they have. teachers may not be aware of the unique circumstances of being a military child. And so, even our younger children can learn how to share information with their teachers. They can learn to approach the teacher or another member of the school staff if they have a question or a problem or just want to share something. Encouraging our children to self advocate helps reinforce that they are the major stakeholder in their own education. They learn that they can control small things during their school day. Speaking up for themselves can increase motivation and raise their confidence as well as their self esteem. So, we have a question for you in the chat box. Do you have a child who is nervous about speaking to the teacher or school staff? So, I'll let you think about that question for a moment. It really is common. It can be intimidating to go up to an adult and ask a question or speak up. And yeah, Kim wrote that her girls used to be. Absolutely. I remember that I was incredibly timid as a young child and would never want to speak up. I actually shared this with my children and emphasized the need for them to self advocate, which benefited them. So sometimes when we share our own stories with our children, it can help them, and they were able to speak up. They've always been very good self advocates. It can make a difference in our children's education. So, if you do have students who are anxious about speaking to their teacher, you may want to consider practicing role playing with them at home. You can be the teacher and model different responses the teacher may actually give. Practicing can help your children feel more confident with speaking up. So, we really do encourage you to try that out. It's also good to give your children opportunities to be included in conversations between parents and teachers. Perhaps you could do this at school events where you're having casual conversations with the school staff and your children. So include your children in those conversations to get them more comfortable with it. Additionally, teachers may offer student led conferences, those student led parent teacher conferences, where the student actually guides the parent through the work they're doing in class. This is a great opportunity for the student to engage with both you and the teacher at the same time. Another way for students to get more comfortable with communicating with the teacher may just be through email. Start with an email rather than that face to face communication, which might be a little more intimidating. So, that might be something to consider. Now, we're going to take a look at parent teacher communication. Positive, open, and regular parent teacher communication can help to lay the foundation for a successful school year. The best time to establish effective, positive, and cooperative communication, as well as build relationships with the school and the teachers, is at the very beginning of the school year. If later if later on in the school years issues arise, they can normally be addressed more quickly without as much confrontation if that positive relationship has previously been established. When we took a look at those education survey results earlier, we saw that worry and change are really common for new students, and they can affect a child's performance in class. Therefore, we really want to be proactive with the teachers, sharing information that will benefit your child's school experience with their teacher from the very beginning of the school year can save valuable time and undue stress. Many teachers say that they often don't receive information from parents about changes that are occurring at home. So, we as parents want to provide teachers with the necessary information. You may want to share that you are a military family. Share if a parent is absent or deployed or TDY. And share any other recent changes that have occurred at home, perhaps the loss of a family member, having a wounded warrior at home, or a new sibling. These can all affect your child's academics and relationships in school with the teacher. So we really want to strive for open communication with the teacher to equip them to better address your child's specific strengths and challenges. This way, teachers are better able to provide individualized support. One thing that you may be worried about as your children go back to school are learning gaps, especially after moving to a new school. So, this is when your child may not have learned material that the rest of the class already has because they're moving into a new school situation. If this does, present itself, ask for a parent teacher conference as the need arises. You might want to ask for individualized support for your child. Maybe the school offers study groups, or there are certain online resources that could be helpful, or perhaps the teacher will offer tutoring after school or before school. You can also ask the teacher how they are teaching a concept so that you can better guide your child at home. So, now that we've talked a little bit about communication, we're going to move on to some other back to school basics, and I'm going to pass it back over to Kim.
All right, so routines, and how, let's talk a little bit about routines and how they can be incredibly important. Something we say here at MSEC a lot is do routine things routinely. It's a fun little saying we often say, but it really is important. And there is a lot of well-established research on the benefits of routines. It's really important for military families, as we said before, who move a lot, and sometimes there's frequent changes to their lives that not every other person in the world has to deal with, and sometimes there's unpredictability. So having some routines set up can really benefit all in the family. Routines give children a sense of security and reliability, and having a schedule in your home can establish predictability. Kiddos know what to expect. And routines also help children experience success in what they're doing. It promotes self control and confidence. And it also can help children adjust to changes. Strive for three routines in your family's daily lives. We're going to talk about three of them. We're going to talk about mealtime, bedtime, and homework. So let's first jump into my personal favorite, mealtime. Now, I'm going to preface this with we all are busy, right? We all have a lot on our plates. So we're not asking you to eat together every single evening, but when you can, it is incredibly important. So let's talk a little bit about that. So research establishes the importance of at least one meal per week as a family and how important that can be for communication and connection. This is a great opportunity for conversation. It establishes positive habits. Establishing one meal a day when everyone eats as a family is an example of a positive routine. Think of how many conversations you can have with your family when you're sitting around a table without the cell phones in front of you, and you have what Emily was talking about, those open-ended questions of something great that can kind of get a conversation started. Your kids are learning how to have conversations with adults by having conversations at the dinner table. They're learning to make eye contact. They're learning to pause when someone else is talking and then respond appropriately. And then the other great habit they're learning is being able to eat properly with the food in front of you, with the forks, and using your knife properly. These are all things that just it's so beneficial to sit together as a family, and spending time together creates a sense of belonging and routine. And military families, again, we have so much unpredictability that just the routine of eating together is so important. When we were PCSing, our house was still in boxes, right? Our kitchen wasn't unboxed yet, but we ordered the little pizza and we made a little corner of the table that was fresh, and we sat down as a family of four. And it instantly felt like we were at home, even though the house was a mess and we weren't quite settled in yet. But that routine of sitting together with the four of us was so important for me and for my kids. So I want to share a couple things. The first one we're going to share is a book called Home for Dinner. This is by Dr. Ann Fischel. She's the author and director and the co-founder of the Family Dinner Project. So I have the book right here. It is amazing. It's just a great way to show, why is this so important that we eat together? What are some of the research proven benefits of eating together? And then it gives you lots of tips and tricks of things you could do with your family. She started the Family Dinner Project, and it is a great website. Emily put it in the chat there for you, and you can click on it and you sign up and it will send you an email every day of a recipe that's kid friendly and cheap. They also give you a conversation starter, right? So instead of saying, "How was your day?" we start a conversation. Okay, everyone go around the table and tell me what ice cream flavor you would be if you were an ice cream flavor and why, right? And so that gives every child a chance to speak, every adult a chance to speak. And then it also gives you a game. There's games to play around the table, whether you're eating at McDonald's that night because it was a crazy on the go, or it's a breakfast on a Saturday. It's still a time to talk with your families. And then she also has this Eat, Laugh, Talk, the Family Dinner Playbook. This one is also amazing. It's a big fat kind of binder book, and it has tons of recipes and stories and conversation starters and games that you can play with your family. Because I know sometimes you say, well, gosh, what are we going to talk about? There's so much to talk about, and there's so many great conversation starters. So I highly encourage you to click on that website, check it out. Um, it is fantastic. I could talk all day about mealtime because it's my favorite, and we are very busy. I will be the first to tell you we have a crazy schedule. Both my girls are in full-time sports and all the things, but we do try as much as we can to make an effort to sit down together, even if it's for a short period of time. Okay, let's talk about bedtime. So we have a poll. Let's see who knows the answer to this question. How many hours of sleep are recommended for school age children? What do you guys think? Is it 4 to 6? Is it 8 to 11? Or is it 12 hours or more? We have one response so far. Hold on, I'm going to give it just a minute to let everyone give their responses. Okay, we have one person saying it was 8 to 11. Give you guys just another minute and let everyone respond. All right. Okay, the answer actually is B, 8 to 11 hours. So that is how many hours are recommended for school age children. So the Mayo Clinic recommends 9 to 11 hours for children ages 6 to 13, and then 8 to 10 hours for our teenagers, 14 to 17 years old. So I get it. We're all busy again, and bedtime can sometimes be difficult to get those kiddos in bed on time, especially if you have high schoolers who are doing work or they have a project that's due, or there's my daughter she swims, my other daughter plays soccer till 9:15 at night. That's the end time of her. It's crazy. So I'm like, how is this kid gonna sleep? So anyway, it's important to kind of establish some routines to help our kiddos get ready for bed, whether that's later in the evening or the actual time you would like them in bed. But sleep is, of course, critical for our development, our health. And it's important for us as family members to model good sleep habits, right? We don't want to be scrolling on our phone when our kids come and say goodnight to us. And, I should have been asleep an hour ago, and here I am scrolling on my phone. So I try really hard to model to my kiddos what I want them to be doing, of kind of getting ready for bed earlier, bringing my book, and starting to read, and that kind of helps me get ready to go to sleep. Limit your screen time before bed. Studies suggest that screen time before bed can disrupt a person's sleep cycle. I think we all know this, but we still do it, right? One parent in a workshop shared that they collect all their cell phones before bed and keep them in a central location out of the bedrooms, including the parent's cell phone. I think this is fantastic. My girls are not allowed to sleep with their cell phones. And if they need an alarm, I will buy them an old-fashioned alarm clock, and I will put it on the opposite side of the room, and that will wake them up. But yeah, it's so important to not have that, especially when the kids are dinging them all night long, because some kids stay up late, right? And other kids go to bed early. So yeah, I think that's very important. And another good one is reading. Like I said before, it's really helps you kind of relax and calm down. Oftentimes teachers do assign, 20 minutes a day of reading at home. This is a great opportunity to get that done. Or if you have little kiddos, this is a great opportunity to read to them. I wish I can go back to the days where I read to my kids and I still saved all the silly little books and I love them. So that's just another great time for connection, and then kind of getting everybody ready for sleep. So then the third routine we want to talk about is homework. So some of our top concerns for parents is often homework, and maybe we didn't like it as a kiddo, right? So we hear the word and we're instantly like, oh, I don't want to talk about homework. Oh, it's so much. But it's important that we kind of look at it in a positive light and help support our kids the best that we can. Um, it's a great way to show if your kiddos have a learning gap, or maybe they're not being challenged enough. If you could take a peek at the homework and what they're doing, it kind of gives us as parents an insight to what's going on in the school. If you see that there are some gaps with your child's learning, ask for help, inform the teacher. You can use online resources like Khan Academy or tutor.com. These are free for military families. I don't know if anyone has ever tried tutor.com, but we have back when my kids were younger, and they have that new math now, right? Where it's the Common Core or whatever that was called. And I didn't know how to help my child. So we got on tutor.com and we qualified right for the free sessions. And it is fantastic. It is a live person. There's no videotaping. They don't know her name, but she would go on there and say, I'm trying to do this math problem. And then the person would ask, and then they explained to her, and then they gave her examples like, hey, let's try it one more time, let me see if you can do it. And so it was great, she loved it, and thank goodness, because I had no idea. I mean, I was like reading the textbook, and I it was a lot. So those two resources are fantastic to have just on hand. And then also homework areas. So we have another question here in the chat: where does your child do their homework, or where is their homework area? It's important to have a designated place for your kiddo to do their homework every day. Maybe that's the kitchen table, totally fine. Maybe it's their bedroom. Maybe they're lucky enough to have a desk in their bedroom, and that's a great place. But you just want to make sure it is free of distractions. It has good lighting. It's kind of quiet. If the kiddo is doing homework, and then there's 100 other kids coming in and out all day playing or whatever, that's tough. So it's important to kind of think about, okay, where do we want our kiddo to do their homework? And we also suggest using a homework box. This is just a Tupperware container filled with, the tools they need and supplies. We're going to put a link here in your chat with a little PDF on homework, and like what you can do to make that little box workable for your family, right? So say it's just has paper in it, pencil, a calculator, and then maybe you have to shove your kid in the car and take the older sibling to a sporting event and say, "Hey, bring your homework box so we can get your work done tonight." And then boom, she grabs her homework box. You guys can do it on the road or whatever, and it's all done. Or if they're using the kitchen table, they can kind of clean up after themselves every day, put it away. Done. We really encourage you to establish a homework routine time, meaning the same time every day if possible. Because, like Emily said, some kids get home and they need that downtime. They need maybe 15, 20 minutes of a snack, a little TV show, something to kind of chill them out. Other kids get off the bus and are instantly doing homework because they want to get it done and they're already in that mindset. So depending on your kiddo, kind of pick a time that works best for them. Again, turn off the TV, take the smartphone away. I know that, well, I want to listen to music or I need my phone. Well, I don't, are you? Because I feel like it's dinging with all your friends texting you. I feel like that's not very helpful. So again, you as a parent need to make the best decision on what your kiddo needs. And then nurture learning at home, right? Um, did they make an effort on their work, and praise them for that? Hey, gosh, I saw your homework tonight. You did a really good job on that. Like, I see you spent some time. Or allow your children to learn from their own mistakes, right? So they could bring the homework back and say, oh, here's the ones I missed. And how do we hone in on those two items or whatever that they missed that you guys can help help them learn what they were struggling with. We also want to put a plug in for MWR Digital Resource Library. So MWR, most of you have probably heard this, is the morale, welfare, and recreation that military installations have. And they often have digital libraries. It's a great place to find resources to supplement or strengthen their classroom learning, and they're all free. You can gain access to tutors and connect your military child to or teen with live online help in a variety of subjects. You can also access video storybooks, audiobooks, e-learning tutorials, reading materials for visually in all areas of learning. And you can also find practice exams and other information to help your students prepare for college. So great ideas and resources to use. And Emily's put those links in the chat if you'd like to check them out. All right, Emily's going to talk a little bit about organization.
Yes. So, organization is a must for military families, especially because we move frequently and sometimes we move into housing that is very small. Here are some tips that you can use regardless of where you live. You can establish a communication center in your house where you can keep schedules, assignments, and due dates. This way, everyone in the household is aware of what is going on every day. This communication center can also house usernames and passwords for all virtual platforms for easy access. These can be stored in a folder on your child's computer. If your children are sharing the same computer, you'll want to create different profiles or usernames for each of your children. This allows them to see only their work when they log into that shared computer. It may also be very helpful to have a computer schedule so that everyone knows when their allotted time is. This can mitigate confusion or disagreement. Make sure that everything has a place and there is a place for everything, including a place for all of the necessary school items. So Kim talked about that homework box, which is very helpful. You also want to have a place for the backpacks, one standard location where kids keep their backpacks. You might have a special location for the pencil sharpener or lined paper, things like that. This reduces stress and distraction. It can help your children stay on track and help them not to forget items that they need for school each day. Perhaps they hang their backpacks by the back door each evening so that they are ready for school the next morning. Another organizational tool that you may want to consider is a rolling craft cart for each child. So after they finish their homework or studying, they can place their homework box back on the cart. They can clean up their area and everything just goes back in that rolling cart. So that might be something else that you would like to consider. And if you have any other organizational tips that you use at home, we would love for you to share these in the chat box. So now we are going to briefly address test taking strategies, grade forecasting, and academic planning as our children head back to school. We all know that tests can be a little scary, especially if you have moved to a new school and your children don't know what to anticipate on tests. It can be very helpful to just let your children know that tests are really only a tool to see what they know and what they still need to learn. You, as their parent, can gauge your child's level of test anxiety and support them accordingly. Make sure they're getting plenty of sleep that night before and a good breakfast. When it does come to testing, it is very important for our children to learn how to plan ahead. Cramming the night before a test only increases test anxiety, which will interfere with their clear thinking. So we want them to learn how to plan their study time accordingly, especially as they get older. The tests are covering more material, and we want our children to learn how to do that backward planning where they have the test date and they work back from there to decide when they need to begin studying for that test. We also want our children to be clear on understanding what material the test will cover. Uh, That way, they can clarify any misunderstandings with the teacher. They can ask the teacher if they're unclear on a certain topic. Some tests might have questions about things that your student may not have learned yet, especially if they've recently PCS to that new duty station. If this is the case, you can communicate with the teacher about your concerns or allow your child to self advocate and express their thoughts on that. Advise your child not to feel stressed if they do come across a question that they are unfamiliar with. They can just move on to the next question. Also, make sure that your students understand to read the directions carefully. If your child does not understand something, again, encourage them to ask the teacher for help. So, for more details on test taking, we'd love for you to check out a couple of our webinar recordings on test taking. These are found on our YouTube channel, and Kim has put both of those links in the chat box. One is test taking for specifically for military connected middle and high school students. The other webinar is test taking for military connected elementary students. So please feel free to take a look at those recordings. Grade forecasting works well for many students. This means giving students the opportunity to forecast or predict what they think their final course grades will be while they're still taking the class. So, the goal of grade forecasting is to help your students track their own progress, and it's intended to motivate them to reach their goal. This can lead them to making better decisions about how much time and effort they need to devote to each class. So it may be something that you would like for your children to start doing. So now I am going to pass it over to Kim to talk about academic planning.
Okay, so academic planning can really just be a way to set goals with your children. It's a great way to find out, okay, where can we make progress and how do we want to do that? This allows our students to set their own learning goals for a quarter, maybe, or a semester, or maybe the entire year. So an idea to do this would be to look through your child's paperwork, homework assignments, things like this that can help your children see where they might need to improve. Right? Maybe it's they want to improve their spelling. So what they would do is they would go through their folder and pull out papers that show, where they were struggling with their spelling, and we'll put that into their academic portfolio. And when the child brings home more papers they have written, we can review them with the child and be sure that we regularly go through this to find the spelling and say, okay, where are we struggling here and how can we fix it? And maybe they'll say, hey, I want to improve my spelling score by Christmas by 10% or whatever that is. You want to write these attainable goals that your kiddos can shoot for. For older students, academic planning can help set the stage for life after high school, meaning college or career in the military. Having plans help with that transition between schools and also with the college application process. We're going to briefly talk about academic portfolios now, just real quick to kind of give you an idea of what this is and how you can put one together. An academic portfolio really just gives you an overall snapshot of your child's actual schoolwork. It's accurate and it has updated records to provide a quick overview and reference point for the school, staff, and teachers. You can use schoolwork samples, you can use report cards, transcripts, test scores, or placement tests. These can all go in a 3-ring binder. We call this our academic portfolio. Um, you can also use these to keep essay writings. You can use letters of recommendation. You could do ACT, SAT, or standardized test scores or proof of volunteer service hours. This is something, we recommend maybe middle school on, and it really does help with the application process for colleges when they say, okay, let me see some work they've been doing, or let me show me that they have high grades in this, or these teacher recommendation letters, or volunteer service hours. So it really can be something you can add to every year and take out the old things, add the new things, and your student can be very involved, right? So this is kind of where they have buy-in, and it's really important for them to be a part of that. When moving, we recommend you hand carry it, of course, so you have all these academic records and proof of progress on hand when registering for a new school or meeting with teachers. It can also expedite the placement and enrollment to hand carry these unofficial records. So, for more information, we do have an entire webinar dedicated to academic portfolios, and Emily will put the link to that in our chat box. Okay, we have come to the end of our presentation, so let's just quickly revisit our objectives here. We discussed the importance of communication, the importance of keeping those routines and staying involved as parents, and we also shared some tips on homework and on staying organized. Starting a new school year can involve a mix of emotions, especially when the new school year also means a new school for military kids. It's exciting, but also maybe a little scary. So I hope you've gotten a few tips and ideas from this presentation today to help create some routine and predictability for your family, which will in turn instill confidence in your student and start them off for a successful school year. All right, we'll pass it back to Emily. She will close us out with some of our closing slides.
Yes, we really want to thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. We would like to invite you to take our survey. You can do that by clicking on the survey link that is there in your chat box. You can also use that QR code that is there on your screen. Once you are in the survey, you'll click on webinar survey and then type in the 4-digit webinar number, which is 6925. At the end, you'll hit submit. If you don't fill it out now, following the webinar, you will receive an email invitation to take this survey. We do use this tool to make ongoing improvements to our webinar series, as well as add new topics of interest and provide feedback to our funders. We appreciate you taking the couple of minutes it takes to complete this survey. If you do have any education related questions, concerns, or issues for your military connected children, please feel free to reach out to our military student consultants or MSCs. They are the premier source to provide you with one-on-one help for all of your questions. To contact a military student consultant, you can email them at msc@militarychild.org or use that QR code that's there on your screen. We also have our MSEC Wellbeing Toolkit, which was developed for parents, school professionals, behavioral and mental health professionals, and community leaders. This tool is full of resources for all aspects of the military connected child's well-being. We'd love for you to explore it on our website and share it with others. The link is in your chat box. If you have missed one of our previous webinars, or if you'd like to share the session or watch it again, the recordings can be found on our website, which is militarychild.org, as well as on our YouTube channel. And those links are in your chat box as well. If you are interested in receiving a certificate of completion after today's live presentation, please complete the online survey and contact research@militarychild.org. We are so excited to announce webinars that are presented specifically for our Spanish-speaking military community. Please join Mariella and Yasmina at the end of each month for these special webinar presentations funded by HEB. As with the rest of our webinars, these do begin at noon Eastern Time, and the next En Espanol webinar will be on Thursday, August 28th, and you'll see registration information in the chat box. We are very excited to offer 2 regional global training summits this year. Please join us either in Atlanta, Georgia on September 22nd or in Austin, Texas on September 26th. Registration is now open, and we have put the registration link in your chat box. You're welcome to go to that for more details. We'd also love for you to join us for our upcoming webinars. Next Tuesday, August 19th, we'll be presenting Raising a Confident Child in an Uncertain World. And then on Wednesday, August 20th, we'll present Addressing Educational Issues or Concerns with subject matter expert Terry Whidden. The registration links are in your chat box, and please remember that all of our webinars do begin at noon Eastern Time. We would like to give a very special thanks to the Navy Child and Youth Programs for making today's webinar possible. Thank you so much, all of you, for your interest and participation, and we hope that you have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.